Hi there, I'm Billum, and my retro gaming journey today takes us back to the N64 and PlayStation era of gaming. I'm checking out Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but not exactly as I remember it. Growing up, I had the N64 version of the game, and still do. I remember it always stuck out to me due to its blue cartridge instead of being the normal gray. However, for this review, I'm looking at the PS1 version of the game that I didn't get until much later. I'm going this route for ease of emulation and upscaling of the game. There's nothing wrong with playing games from this era in all their pixelated glory, but sometimes I just like the smooth textures. I've even been known to commit the cardinal sin of stretching a game to fit the screen, which I'm sure just upset someone. Now, to be clear, there isn't much in the way of differences between the PS1 and N64 versions of the game. There are some minor graphical differences, but that's about it. There's also a Dreamcast version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater that I have no experience with whatsoever, so don't expect me to talk about that in this retrospective. It'll probably come as no surprise that skateboarding was cool when I was a kid. Like, the coolest thing there was. That's especially true for a kid growing up in the middle of nowhere on a farm. Unfortunately, there was also a serious lack of pavement where I lived, so this was the closest thing to living that skater dream. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is a simple but fun game. Players start out by choosing a skater to run through the career mode with. I always go with Rune Glifberg for my playthroughs. The only reason for this is that I thought the kickflip, McTwist, and Christ Air looked really cool, and still do. The basic gameplay loop of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has players collecting tapes from levels to unlock new levels. That includes completing certain challenges, such as finding secret tapes, getting high scores, and others that vary from level to level. Players will also have to take part in skate competitions to further their progress in the game. The competitions score players based on a variety of factors, such as tricks, scores, and bails. There are 3 in total, and getting medals from them become harder as the game progresses. It's worth noting that players don't have to win at these competitions. They can still progress with just a silver or bronze medal. Even beating the game only requires a medal from each competition. It doesn't have to be a gold one. Performing tricks in the game is easy enough with each of the shape buttons being tied to an action. X jumps, square is for flips, triangle is for grinding, and the circle button does grab tricks. Players can perform different tricks by using button combinations along with these. There are also special tricks that can be done with certain commands once a gauge has been filled. Each character in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater has their own tricks, such as the Christ Air I mentioned above. Speaking of tricks, I suck. I'm not going to pretend I'm a Superman at this game. Maybe back in the day when I played it all the time, but I had a devil of a time nailing combos this time around. Heck, I even had trouble doing a Rocket Air. That might have to do with using a D-pad on the PS1 as compared to the joystick on the N64. I never remember having trouble with certain moves as a kid. Adding to that, I felt like it was harder to get Big Air this time too. This led to me trying more times than I care to admit to grab the secret tape in San Francisco. My poor excuses for all the bails and fails you're seeing aside, I can easily say I still enjoyed my time with the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Part of that's just plainly due to how much fun it is to skate around most of the levels in the game. I have to say most because there is one level I really hate in this game, and that's Downhill Jam. Let's take a quick pause. When I first recorded this retrospective, I completely forgot to mention why I don't like Downhill Jam. I kinda just figured everyone would understand if I just said I didn't, but I should be clearer with my reasons. I don't like the downhill part of Downhill Jam. Most of the other levels in the game are more open to exploration, but Downhill Jam forces the player forward. Sure, you can try to turn around and fight gravity, but it breaks the flow of the game and is a pain to do. Because of this, the level has to be replayed over and over again if a player makes the slightest mistake in getting a tape. It's funny because Downhill Jam isn't the only level like this. The mall actually has a similar setup. The difference here is that that level actually has more areas where the players can slow down and explore. These side areas keep the player from just being forced down a path the whole way. It's kinda like how both Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy XIII are linear, but one does it better than the other. Yet again, I'm sure that comment just annoyed some people. As much as I love the school, mall, and warehouse, I can't stand Downhill Jam. I actually go out of my way to get enough tapes early so I can skip this level. I don't come back to it until I need the extra tapes for the final skate competition in Roswell. Speaking of Roswell, this is another of the levels that I love. I spent so much time as a kid just free skating here and looking around. That includes stopping by to check up on the captured alien that begs the player for help. I always wished I could save this guy even though you can't. Quick spoiler warning, by the way. I've yet to check out the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remaster, but I've heard you can actually unlock the alien as a secret character. That game was already on my list to buy, but it jumped up after I learned about that. Alright, back to the past. The music in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is great. Unfortunately, I can't really sample it here for fear of copyright claims. See, the game uses a collection of songs from real-world bands rather than original music made for this game. It's that same thing that keeps me from playing the music in the background of this video. Typically I like to keep the background music in my videos the same as what shows up in the game, but I just can't do that this time around. It kinda sucks, but it is what it is. So while I can't play the music for you, I can link you off to a soundtrack for it. If you've never played the game, then I would advise to actually do so before listening to this music. It just feels a bit more special when you can connect it to the game. Granted, that's probably just my nostalgia speaking. I'm going to be popping back into the Tony Hawk games from time to time for my retrospectives. It'll actually be a strange experience for me. See, I only played a few of the games growing up. That includes this one, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 on the Game Boy Color, Tony Hawk's Underground on the PS2, and American Wasteland for the same console. Of those, American Wasteland is the one that I know the least about due to only playing the multiplayer with a friend. When I do finally get back around to the Tony Hawk series, I also want to check up on some of the games I missed. It seems like everyone always has a favorite game in the series, which I'm hoping is a sign that all of the games are good. Well, most of them anyway. Even I know to avoid some of the later titles. With all that said and done, thank you for watching, and take it easy.